Good afternoon, students. Welcome once again to DSG's Home Classes, a digital initiative taken by Director of School Education, Shrimati Anuradha Gupta. Thanks for her for taking this initiative. Dear students, as you know, my name is Mohinder Goswami, teacher posted at GHS Batol. Today, once again, welcome you, and today we will discuss Gulliver in Lilliput Part 2. Moreover, along with this, we will discuss the question answers of Part 1 and also of Part 2. So, students, let's begin. Dear students, in Part 1, we have studied that how Gulliver reached in Lilliput and what he did after that. But now in this part we will study that how Gulliver helped the emperor of Lilliput in saving his country from the another empire of the universe. Dear students, look at this picture. You will see that Gulliver is standing in the middle of the water in Lilliput side, and on the other side of the shore you will see Blefuscu soldiers were standing in the northeast. So as you know, Lilliput and Blefuscu was a two empire of the universe, and both the empire separated from each other with a channel of 800 meters, 5 feet deep in most of the places and not more than 6 feet. Dear students, in this picture you will see that Gulliver hid himself behind a hill, and so that the enemy could not see him. He was ready to attack on bleak-faced soldiers, but before attacking he wanted something with him. Dear students, Gulliver got a great quantity of the strongest cables and bars of iron. He made 50 strong cords and 50 hooks and fastened the hooks carefully to the cords. Now he decided to wade into the channel, and in about half an hour he got near the enemy fleet. The enemy was so frightened to see him that they left out of their ships and ran away. Gulliver took out the cords and fastened a hook to the prow of each warship. While he was engaged in this work, the men of Blefuscu shot at him several thousand arrows as big as knitting needles. You are familiar with the knitting needles? Many of them stuck in his hands and face and gave him a sharp pain. Dear students, when Gulliver had fastened the hooks to the prows of all the warships, he tied their ends together into a knot. Then he took up the knotted end of the cords and with ease drew after him the entire fleet of the enemy. The emperor of Lilliput, with all his court, was waiting on the shore. They saw the entire fleet advance in the shape of large half moon, but could not distinguish Gulliver because he was up to his neck in water. So they thought that he had been drowned and that the enemy fleet was advancing for battle. They felt greatly relieved when they saw Gulliver. The emperor received him with honor and made him a great lord on the spot. So students, with this we have completed this beautiful story part 2. Now students, we will discuss the textual questions of both part 1 and part 2. But before discussing, just look at this. Dear student, this is the first page of your textbook, and in this class 9th there are total prose lesson are 7. So we have completed packing and we have discussed Gulliver and Lilliput part 1 and also Gulliver in Lilliput part 2. Now we will start discussing the question answers of part 1 before discussing the part 2. So students, let's begin. In part 1, we have total number of 12 questions starting from question number 1, why did Reldresser visit Gulliver, and ends with the question number 12, what did Gulliver promise to do for the emperor. Dear students, in question number 1, why did Reldresser visit Gulliver? The answer of this should be Reldresser visited Gulliver because he wanted to have a private conversation with him. He had been sent by the emperor to discuss with Gulliver some important problem of the state. Because he knew that Gulliver was the great man of this universe and he would definitely help the empire of the Lilliput, so emperor decided to take the help of Gulliver in solving some problem of the state. So dear students, in second part of the question, how did Gulliver receive Reldresser? Gulliver received Reldresser with honor. He offered to lie down so that Reldresser could speak him conveniently. So this should be the answer of question number 7. Dear students, as far as the question number 3, part A, what were the two political parties in Lilliput? The two political parties in Lilliput were High Hills and Low Hills. Dear students, in third question, part B, what was the point of difference between them? The point of difference between them was that they could be distinguished by the high or low heels of their shoes. Dear students, now the question number 4. Why was the government in the hands of low heels though they were less numerous than the high heels? The government was in the hands of low heels though they were less numerous than high heels because the emperor was in favor of low heels. So the government was in their hand. As far as question number 5 is concerned, what was the external danger that the country had to face? So dear students, we have studied this in story. The external danger that the country had to face was the fear of invasion from the state of Blefuscu, which is another empire of universe. In question number 6, what was the question of religious principle that gave rise to a war between Lilliput and Blefuscu? So we have also studied this in story. The question of religious principle that gave rise to a war between Lilliput and Blefuscu was that of breaking an egg at the bigger end or at the smaller end. Dear student, the question number 7. Why was the ancient way of breaking an egg is prohibited in Lilliput? The answer should be the ancient way of breaking an egg is prohibited in Lilliput because the present emperor's grandfather, when he was a boy, had tried to break an egg at the bigger end, and in doing so, he had cut one of his fingers. So the emperor prohibited the practice of breaking an egg at the bigger end. In question number 8, how did people take a new law? The people did not take the new law very easily. They did not want to accept it. There were bitter opposition to this law. At least 11,000 people died. Question number 9. What was the emperor of Blefuscu's part in the internal troubles of Lilliput? So as we have studied that Blefuscu was another empire of universe and it creates problem for Lilliput. The emperor of Blefuscu encouraged the rebels who escaped to his state. He gave sympathy to the rebels. Thus he added to the internal troubles of Lilliput. Now the question number 10. What was the teaching of their ancient religion about the way of breaking eggs? So dear students, the teaching of their ancient religion about the right way of breaking eggs was all believers shall break their egg at the convenient end. That means wherever they want, they can break the egg. Now the students, second last question. What in Russell's opinion was the meaning of this teaching? In Russell's opinion, this teaching meant that every man could choose the convenient end according to his own conscience. That means wherever they want, they can break the egg. It depends upon their choice. Now the last question. What did Gulliver promise to do for the emperor? He promised to be the emperor's loyal soldiers. He promised that he would defend the emperor's honor and the honor of the country in case there was an invasion. So this is the whole part 1. We have completed it. And now we will start the part 2. Question answers discussion with you. Dear students, in part 2, Gulliver in Lilliput, there are total number of 11 questions. Starting from question number 1, where was Blefuscu situated and what separated it from Lilliput? Ends with question, how did the emperor reward him for his services? Dear students, as far as the first question is concerned, where was Blefuscu situated and what separated it from Lilliput? Blefuscu was an island which is situated to the northeast of Lilliput, which we have studied in the story. It was separated from the Lilliput by a channel about 800 meters wide. Dear students, in the second question, why did Gulliver avoid appearing on the northeast coast of Lilliput? So as far as this question answer is concerned, we have studied this in story that Gulliver avoided appearing on the northeast side of Lilliput because he did not want to be seen by someone from the enemy side so that he can plan accordingly. Now question number 3, part A. How deep was the channel? As far as the channel is concerned, the channel was about 5 feet deep in most of the places and nowhere more than 6. Then the question number 3rd B part. What were the devices with which Gulliver armed himself? So as far as this question is concerned, so we will see the answer as, dear students, the devices with which Gulliver armed himself were strongest cable, bars of irons. The cable was as thick as pack thread. The bars were of the size of knitting needles. Gulliver twisted the cables together and made 50 strong cords. Then he made 50 hooks by twisting 3 bars at a time, and then he fastened the hooks. So these are the devices which he used before attacking on the Blefuscan soldiers. Why did Gulliver seek the advice of the most experienced sailors? Question number 4. Gulliver sought the advice of the most experienced sailors to know the exact depth of the channel that he had to cross in order to reach Blefuscu. What did the Blefuscan soldiers do while Gulliver was fastening hooks to the warships? So dear students, the Blefuscan soldiers shot at him several thousand arrows. Their arrows were as big as knitting needles. The question number 6. What did Gulliver do to save his eyes while he was getting arrows? Gulliver took out his eyeglasses and put them on so that he could save his eyes. What did Gulliver do to relieve the pain caused by the arrows? In order to relieve the pain caused by arrows, Gulliver rubbed on ointment that Lilliputians had given him for this purpose, so that he will be relieved from the pain easily. As far as question number 9 is concerned, what did the emperor and his court think on seeing the fleet at a distance? They thought that Gulliver had been drowned and that the enemy fleet was advancing for battle towards them. So the second last question. How did Gulliver show his loyalty to the emperor? So as far as this question answer is concerned, Gulliver showed his loyalty to the emperor by driving after him the entire fleet of the enemy and thus saved the emperor from the danger of invasion by Blefuscan soldiers. How did the emperor reward Gulliver for these services? The emperor received Gulliver with honor and made him a great lord on the spot. So students, with this we have completed this beautiful story that Gulliver in Lilliput is written by Jonathan Swift. Hope you have enjoyed both the parts. Now students, it's your turn to pen down all these materials and learn these materials.